xRhythms.
Hi, I'm Shez, and today I sat down with Tim Pilkington, who is the CEO of Worldvision, an organisation that helps children that are stuck in poverty. We talked a bit about the impact that church has on mental health, and also the huge impact the younger generation are beginning to have on shaping the world stage and affecting world policy. Enjoy. Okay, so you work for Worldvision, which is an organisation that I imagine most people who know about Worldvision might not necessarily associate with studying mental health or anything like that. And like you say, this was kind of something that fell out of a report that was about something much larger. Worldvision, and maybe you can address some misconceptions on my part here. Worldvision is an organisation that helps to tackle world poverty. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so what is...
focused on children. Yeah.
Okay, yes, with the focus on children. So what was the... Is there an action that you're taking away from this as an organisation related to mental health and related to poverty?
Absolutely. Well, I think that within our work, generally, we see a lot of mental health challenges. We focus on the most vulnerable context in the world. So I spend my time, I will say, being a refugee camp in Uganda, where people have fled from South Sudan, they've seen war, they've seen famine, they may even have seen their parents killed and they're in a refugee camp now. And through the work that we've done, they've been fostered into another refugee family and they're rediscovering a sense of hope. They've moved from being some of the most fearful and vulnerable young people to having hope. But they've seen things no child should ever see. And so we create what we call child-friendly spaces where children can go and they can play and they can, to a certain extent, rediscover childhood. And in simple ways, process some of the things they've seen. So it is important when we do our work to attend to the fact that a lot of the children and young people that we're coming across have experienced really tough things. In terms of the way that we engage in the UK, I think it gives us a real sense of hope because we want to do our work in partnership with churches and we see that can really help, and we want to help churches reach out to people because we see that young people care passionately about these causes. One of the reasons why we did the surveys, we see this generation, the 18 to 35s, aren't engaging with Worldvision in the same way as the older generations did. And we wanted to understand why. The answer certainly wasn't that they don't care. They care passionately about these issues that we're trying to make a difference in. What they're sceptical about is whether we can make a difference. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like there is a way that people who are part of that generation can contribute in making a difference?
Absolutely. I think we've been recently running a campaign to the UK government. It's a global campaign, so it's run by every Worldvision office in the world. We operate in almost 100 countries. And it's called It Takes a World to End Violence Against Children. So we're campaigning on that globally. And so when the UN General Assembly was getting together in September and Boris Johnson was there, every Worldvision office was campaigning to their leader, and we were campaigning to Boris Johnson to say, the world needs to come together and prioritise ending violence against children. And one of the things that we used in that was we'd launched a petition. So we had, tens of thousands of signatories we could say to Boris Johnson, and people had joined us in that, saying, we want you to prioritise this. This is important. So people can join us through campaigning actions. That's really important by using your voice, using your tweets, using your Facebook likes, whatever it is. That's stuff that I'm not so good at as this generation. I'm not as good at that as this generation. I'll be honest. But that does make a difference. It moves opinion of people of power and young people and people in that 18 to 35, younger adults. They definitely can influence people of power if they come together. That's for sure. We've seen Greta Thunberg recently on climate, 16-year-old. What an impact. That young person has changed the world. When we've been seeking to influence the government on the Take the World campaign, we actually had a youth advocate. So we weren't trying to do that ourselves by going to government and engaging ministers. We had a panel of 4 or 5 exceptional young women in this case, and we took them to meet Lord Ahmed and other members of the ministers and Home Office ministers. And because it was young people, they gave them the meeting. If I wanted to go and meet them, they probably would take the meeting. But when they can actually hear directly from young people, we can make the connections and let them speak for themselves, and it is just so powerful. So that's one way they can do it. They can pray. We believe in the power of prayer.
Yeah,
We absolutely are coming together and praying about issues. I think it aligns our heart. We know we can make a difference, and it does. God then replies, and you kind of get involved by giving. There's ways you can give to organisations like World Vision, and then we will tell you how that is making a difference. We really feel we need to be held to account for communicating back the impact that we make, and that's something we heard is people don't just want to give money, they want to hear the difference it's making. And that's one of our real commitments, is to make sure people know the difference that if they do support us financially, how that can really make a difference in the world.
Well, going back quickly to that panel of young people who are sort of lobbying people in positions of power, why do you think that those people in positions of power were listening to that group of people?
I think that it's because they genuinely, a bit like us, that they want to know what they think. They understand these are the votes of the future, and also it's a different perspective. They've met enough people of my generation. You know, they meet people like me all the time, frankly. That's the sort of people who hang around Westminster. They look and sound a lot like me, and they come from the same background as me. What they want to hear is fresh perspectives. They want to know what are the new ideas. And it was also the fact that these young people were just extraordinary. So they met Lord Ahmed, and when he met them, he said, I want you to come and meet to another panel of MPs because you are so impactful.
Wow.
It's also that when they had the platform, they used it so incredibly well.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was inspiring to be there. I was just sat there in the room watching them talk and just thought, wow, that is just, the impact they had on him was way beyond what I could have dreamt.
Yeah.
I remember we brought across a survivor of sexual violence. There was a Preventing Sexual Violence conference about 4 years ago now, which Angelina Jolie did and William Hague did at the time. It was big in the news at the time. And when David Cameron was asked in Parliament for some of his reflections and Prime Minister's questions, he spoke about hearing the story of a survivor of sexual violence the World Vision had brought over to speak at that conference. Because the stories people tell and their own experience are undeniably true. I can come up with facts, I can come up with figures, I can have research, but someone tells of their own experience, that's when it lands.
Yeah.
So if someone who is personally affected by a situation talks about their experience, that has a power way beyond what I can ever say based on research or intellectual arguments.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Tim, thank you very much for speaking to us today. If you actually, speaking about that panel very quickly and the impact that had, I don't suppose there's a recording of that somewhere that we could get a hold of.
I don't think there is. No,
That's too bad.
Let me check. There's no recording of that particular session. There may be recordings of other sessions because we used them at the parliamentary launch of the Take the World campaign. We also used them at the sort of one of the interim ones. They've been with us on a journey. I can check whether we have any video footage of it. We'd certainly have photos, but I don't think we've got. I'm not sure we've got video.
Okay. Well, if we can find a copy of that video, then we'll make sure that we put the link to it in the description.
And if you ever like to interview some of them, they're awesome.
If they're available, then absolutely.
Well, let me find out. Yeah, they are
Please
really just inspiring young people, because they've got the bit between their teeth and they're seeing they can make a difference. And I think that's, as I was saying, hearing from me, people can make a difference is one thing. Hearing from someone who's actually got the bit between their teeth and doing it. Yeah. The other thing maybe, we would have video of Amika George, and she's a period poverty campaigner, and she recently went on a trip with us to, I think it was Zimbabwe, and there's video of her talking about how she is I think she's a vlogger, I say that word as though I know what it means, but she's a youth campaigner, and she's done a load of work on period poverty and why, how do we make sure that girls who are having their period aren't excluded from school and can still have futures. And there's certainly some video of her talking that we may be able to, I would imagine we could share with you if that was helpful. Yeah,
that would be really good. I'm sure the viewers would be interested. Absolutely. We'll get some of those links, and then anybody who wants to follow up on that will be able to do so. Tim, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Well, I really appreciate the chance to engage with you guys as well.
Happy to provide the chance. Right, in that case, I think that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much. I'm sure that we'll hopefully be speaking to you again at some point in the future if we can get hold of you. because it's been very interesting. So thank you.
I would love to do that. Thanks so much.
Fantastic.